we're actually trying to come down the price of the
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Cathedral City Council for Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. I'm calling this meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
And for the record, the absence of Mayor Pro Tem Gutierrez has already been approved. Roll call. Councilmember Ross? Councilmember Lamb? Here. Mayor Gregory?
Here. Thank you so much. And I will ask if everyone in the room will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and afterwards remain standing for an invocation by Councilmember Lamb.
We are grieving the loss of our cherished friend and colleague, Councilmember Mark Carnevale, who died November 16th. Let us observe a moment of silence for his family, Rhonda, Carrie, Nick, and daughter-in-law Tanya, and grandchildren he loved so much, and the family he leaves behind, the friends he loved, and the community he served. For all its trials and challenges and joys and adventures, and whatever is to come after it, we shall not have this life again. As we gather today as council members and city staff, guide and direct our actions, ever mindful to be of maximum service to our community, responsible stewards of its resources, and always remember to be kind. Dear Mark, may you rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilmember Lamb. All right, the next item on our agenda is agenda finalization. Any changes to tonight's agenda?
There are no changes, Mayor.
All right, the next item is public comments. This is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are on the agenda. Just a reminder, it's not a question and answer period, and we are not allowed to discuss items that aren't on the agenda, although we may ask questions of staff for clarification. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mayor, we do. Our first speaker will be Richard Altman.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. It's really tough for me to be up here to talk about my friend. I had a discussion with my friend Mark a couple of weeks ago about his health, and he said to me, maybe a little longer, that he was not going to run for office. And we talked about, because I had cancer too, and we talked about that. And then he recommended somebody to run for his office, which is Sunshine. And then a week or two ago, he decided to run again for city council, which I was glad. I helped him get elected twice, and I felt great. I just want to let you guys know that he supported, in my mind, Sunshine for the seat. I've been through as I told you, Mr. Mayor, 3 times that council people have passed away in the city that I've been involved with. And to make it easier and to do the right thing is very hard for you guys. A lot of personalities get involved and everything else, but you have to have somebody who wants the seat and not just come pick somebody else to fill the seat. And to spend $40,000 on an election to fill the seat for 1 year I think it's a waste of money. You have enough good brains up there to come up with the best candidate that wants the seat. But that was Mark's wish to me. I'm just relaying it to you guys, how I feel. And he used to call me the general, which sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not, but I figure I miss my friend. I miss him sitting up there. You know, it's a tough time for his family and everybody else. Tough time for the city. We're gonna miss a good guy. So, thank you.
Thank you for those comments.
The next
City-
speaker is Janet Ream.
Good evening.
Good evening, and congratulations to the new mayor and Mrs. Ross for her time as mayor. I'm back. I'm still going to be here. We have the same issue going on as we have for the last year and a half with the cannabis odors. At times it may be better, but there's a lot of times that it's not. And beyond all hope, and I will keep coming back until we have this resolved, I hope, to where we can all work together to make things better for the city. And if they can at some point come to that zero smell, which has not been accomplished yet, I know they have been working at it, but we cannot, please do not allow that second building to go up until such time as we all feel that we have come to a comfortable place for us all to where we can continue to work together. I will do what I can, to be a positive person with this situation, but over and over again, the smell is just terrible. I just hate it. And I'm just asking that the city really consider not allowing any further development on that property until such time as we can come together that this has been taken care of. I appreciate your time, and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mayor Gregory, I have no other request to speak forms.
And any written comments?
We have no written comments for general public comments.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is council reports. And if I could begin with now our junior council member, Councilmember Ross.
Thank you very much. I wish you'd all been here earlier because I had a whole spiel and really talked from my heart. I am not sure that I can recreate it. This is a tough time for us here. We're all going through grieving and sadness, and I certainly don't want to lay it on you, but I want you to know that this is a difficult time for us. We will continue serving our constituents to the best of our abilities. Keep us in your hearts, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you so much. And I was very choked up even saying the invocation because Councilman Carnevale has been a friend of mine, and to say how circuitous life is an underestimating. When I first moved to Cathedral City, it was in 2000. But prior to that, I was recently divorced and moved with my little 8-year-old son to a rental home on Duval, right in Rancho Mirage, right on the border. And our big treat, I was watching my pennies, and I was a school teacher out in La Quinta, and I would stop by the Kmart. We would make about once every 2 months, we'd splurge and stop by the Kmart, and it was on the northeast side of Gerald Ford and Date Palm. Was Burlington Factory, and now it has no use. And anyway, and then we'd head over for a special night out, and we'd go to Nicolino's. And Nicolino's had been opened about 3 or 4 years. but there was always this fabulous couple, wonderful and warm, who would welcome us. They got to be just family, and it was Mark and Rhonda Carnevale. So my little boy is now 46. So that's how long the Carnevales have been in my life. And they were just this loving, wonderful business and Italian food and great atmosphere. And I grew to cherish it because it was affordable for me and wonderful, and we had a fun night out. And to think that I got an opportunity to be part of this team in Cathedral City, it is just a treasure. You never know when these miracles can happen, but they do. And the residents of Cathedral City are near and dear to my heart. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm not going to try to recreate my remarks from earlier either, and I know that we will have a chance to speak further and on Councilmember Carnevale, and we want to make sure we invite everyone here to the celebration of life for Councilmember Carnevale this coming Monday, December 15th. It starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it will be at the Mary Pickford Theater. I know there'll be limited seating, so please make sure you come early for that. I know they're going to try to accommodate everyone that they can. That's this coming Monday. When I gave my mayor remarks, of course, I noted that you know that we're a group functioning as a team, but with a missing member, and we will be feeling that pain for quite a long time. But we want to also remember and celebrate Mark. So please try to come on that Monday. Since our last meeting, I think all of us have gone to dozens of events, and so I'm not going to try to go through all of them. I did want to just highlight a few. I want to make sure to thank the fire department for allowing me to attend with them at the Peace Officer and Public Safety Awards that were in Rancho Mirage, put on by the Palm Desert Chamber of Commerce, and congratulations to those members of the police and fire department that were given awards and recognized that night. We also, since our last meeting, we've had a number of great events. The Dreamboats concert, the Hot Air Balloon Festival was rained out on Friday night, but Saturday was a great event, and I know the Sunday event was, I'm told, was also remarkable. So. I have participated in several meetings and other events as part of my other job for the City Council, which is serving on the Riverside County Transportation Commission. I attended a reception a couple of weeks ago and then spoke remotely to the California Transportation Commission on behalf of Coachella Valley Rail. There was an item on the agenda for a grant for part of the study as far as locating stations. That's, of course, a multi-year project that is probably still 10 years out, but it has to keep moving. Following comments, the California Transportation Commission did award $25 million for that next phase of the Coachella Valley Rail. And then earlier today, I did attend the Riverside County Transportation Commission in Riverside, and I was elected chair. So this year, along with being mayor here, I'll be serving as chair for the county's Transportation Commission, which is headquartered out of Riverside. So that's good for us. It's good for our region to have representation, and I promise I will do my best in that position. Also wanted to note that another event that we had that was a first of its kind, but was remarkable in many ways, is we did have a dog costume contest at Esperanza Park, and I see the creator, Antonio Beishu, our Parks and Community Events Commissioner, the Vice Chair, is here with us tonight. I know it was his idea, and he worked tirelessly along with others, city staff and other commissioners, to pull that off. It was quite well attended, I thought, especially for a first event, but it probably was well enough attended for any year, because you don't want to have too many dogs there. So my thanks to the council members that also that are here on the dais that also helped with judging at that event. And speaking of events, this Saturday, we are going to be having our Snow Fest here in Cathedral City. It starts at 4 o'clock, and there's tons of snow. Tell me how many? 12 tons of snow are going to be shipped in for the kids to play, and there will be a tree lighting at 5-ish, 5:05. So make sure you're here by 5. The snow will be melting if you're not here by 4, so, if you want to get some good snow, because it's going to be warm, there are going to be 12 tons of snow, and that'll be starting right at 4 o'clock, correct? The snow play is 4 o'clock for the kids, and then you'll want to stay for the tree lighting, and Mr. and Mrs. Claus will be here to speak to all the children, or certain naughty adults if they want to try to work their way back on the good list. So again, that's this Saturday, right out here at our Cathedral City Civic Center. And I already mentioned, make sure you have in your calendar for Monday, December 15th for the Celebration of Life for Mark Carnevale. And I just want to note, because of the holidays, we won't be having another regular meeting this month, so our next regular meeting will be on Wednesday, January 12th. We may have a special meeting before that, but if that happens, we'll be discussing that later in the agenda. So, all right, that's all I have for remarks, and we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. If I could ask the clerk if she would please read the items that are on the consent agenda.
Yes, Mayor. Item 3A is to waive full reading of ordinances on the agenda. Item 3B is the approval of the November 12th, 2025 study session and regular City Council meeting minutes. Item 3C is the Commissioner Committee member attendance record. Item 3D is the check demand for November 2025. Item 3E is to ratify the council appointments to various local agencies. Item 3F is to review and approve the City Council meeting calendar for 2026. Item 3G is to approve the purchase of 5 unmarked vehicles for the police department. Item 3H is to approve $3,000 of funding support for the Parks and Community Events budget for the Parks and Community Events Commission's yoga classes in the Cathedral City Community Amphitheater. Item 3I is to approve the Internal Revenue Code Section 115 Investment Trust Plan Policy for the city's OPEB and authorize its implementation with Schuster Advisory Group. And that concludes the consent agenda.
All right, thank you very much. There's many good items on that agenda. If you haven't looked at it, you really should. I just want to personally thank the Finance Department for their work on the policy that we had discussed a few months ago in study session, and also the Police Department for making sure that they reviewed and are purchasing. One of those vehicles is an electronic vehicle, which is something that helps meet our council goals. So thank you for at least considering those were appropriate. All right, is there any comments from council on these items? Are there any public comments?
Mayor, I did not receive any request to speak forms.
All right, then I will bring it back to council for further action or a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Ross. Please vote. And motion carries, all ayes.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing. It's our AB 1600 annual report, fiscal year 2024-2025. City Manager.
Sorry, Mayor. Kevin Biersack, our Financial Services Director, is going to present this annual report to you on our AB 1600 revenues received from 24-25.
Thank you. Oh, it's up above. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor, council members, listening audience, those out there, interested constituents listening in. Tonight, what you have before you is every year we bring to you the Assembly Bill 1600 annual report, which is for our development impact fees. So as usual, council, if you have questions as we go along, please. Otherwise, save till the end. So a little bit of background. This became effective in the state of California in January 1989. It is new development to fund public improvements and services, and those are known as DIFs, or Development Impact Fees. We, as a city, tied to that Mitigation Act, we started reporting in 2006 and have done so ever since. It's defined and covered under Government Code 6600 through 66006. It is a monetary exaction other than a tax or a special assessment for the purpose of defraying all or a portion of the cost of public facilities. So when we do this annual reporting, we have a standard report that we've developed that really hasn't changed over time. A few adds here and there, but it has the beginning and ending balances, the fees that we've collected, any interest earned, because these are separate funds for each one of these impact fees, any other income that might come about, and the expenditures made for each established fee. This report also identifies the capital projects that you all have approved that have been committed through the governing body over the years, now and in the past. Later this evening, we will have a separate item on the legislative agenda to talk about some options and changes for this year. But this is the reporting as of June 30th. We did our due diligence. We published it in the Desert Sun through the city clerk's office. In addition, these 5 organizations were emailed: the Agua Caliente Band of Coahuila Indians, the DVBA, the Riverside County BIA, SCE, and SoCal Gas. We did receive feedback from one, and the next slide, which was not included in your agenda packet, I do have a slide on just to give you some feedback on, because we received that letter, ironically, the day that the agenda was being published. So with respect to the DVBA, the feedback that we received, they did have some wording change for the government code, and so there had been an update and we didn't catch that. We were able to get that incorporated into your agenda report before publication, so that wording change, there's nothing more to add on that. However, they did have a question about the new administrative fees that are being charged, and basically their questions were why and what is that about? So let me take you back, because we also responded back to the DVBA to share with them why this came about. In September of 2023, on the final impact fee report that was approved by you all, there was a 3% administrative fee. And tied to that administrative fee, it could have been anywhere. The norm is 3 to 6%. We went with on the lower end with respect to 3%. And the next slide talks about some of the kinds of things that that fee covers. So as a result, with implementing that fee, we coordinated with our audit firm, LSL, and they agreed with us and concurred on that on an annual basis, we would recognize both the fee and the expense. So we actually can pull that 3% fee in to each one of those funds and recognize it as an expense on the annual report. So that is a change from this year versus previous years. So let's talk a little bit about that fee. That 3% is consistent. It's added to fund the costs of the city's management and ongoing fee program administration, collection, and reporting. And we have about a half a dozen different bullets that I didn't include here of what some of those administrative kinds of fees are. But it's the traditional thing that you also see when you pass a budget for us, where we have other funds that pay for the cost of general funded people to be able to do work for those funds. This is the same type of methodology and allocation. So it includes costs associated with the city staff, any consultant time if we would have the need be, studies and administration to support the program. As I said before, the industry standard is a range from 3 to 6%, and we went on the low end with respect to that, 3%.
So when you're saying costs for staff, so there are costs to actually
Administer.
collect and put in the proper accounts, the fees, those type of things. So if we, theoretically, if we didn't have fees, staff would be not doing those things during that time. So they are directly related to fees, not related to performing any of the tasks that collected fees pay for.
And prior to this fee study that you all approved in September of 23 that became effective January 1st of 24, we did that gratis. Those kinds of things were done, but we were not charging those impact fee funds for those administrative costs.
Right.
when Harris came in and did the study that they did that culminated with your approval in September of 23, that now gave us the impetus to be able to charge that fee. So on the actual commitments with respect to, this is where we stand at the end of the year with respect to, and if you remember last year, during the fiscal year, we came to you to validate these commitments, given the fact that we had these new funds. So that's what we have here before you, is just a recapitulation of what the fees are, what the commitments are, and these commitments tie back to, were updated as a result of that new fee study that was done and implemented January 1st of 24. And this is a recap of what we did back in October with respect to sharing with you the balances on the impact fee funds, but in particular, we also are highlighting here for you the actual collections that came in for this report. So for this report, over $2 million was collected on impact fees, 2.1 million plus. And these are the balances for the 8 funds. As a separate aside, I did want to share with you, because there are 3 of these funds that were not included, and we've actually done our due diligence, and we recently have our 3rd response in. So we're going to be looking at doing a study here this winter and early spring through a firm to be able to look at and evaluate the 3 funds that were not included in this impact fee study that you all approved in September of 23. Those 3 funds are the Transit Development, the Art and Public Places, and the MUP, the Master Underground Plan. So those 3, we will be initiating that action through the City Manager's office later this month. So with respect to this public hearing, our recommendation is to approve a resolution accepting the annual AB 1600 development fee report for this past fiscal year, FY 24-25. And any questions or discussion? And I know that the city clerk will want to.
All right, any questions from council prior to opening the public hearing? So I just have a question about the Cove Park, and I know there was a question on one of the charts where there should have been a date and it wasn't there, and I saw an email come in, but frankly, it was today and I was busy, so could you?
Purely an error, a typo. Sure. We don't know what happened with respect to if a cell popped in. So two of those items, the Cove Park was a commitment that dates back to, and I think it had a 5-digit number in there. It dates back to 2018 is when that was originally brought forth. So that's what I had sent in from an email standpoint. And tied to that, with respect to it, it was then a commitment that came forward in the 23, 24, and forward timeframe, but it originally dated back to 2018.
All right, and so that, just for the record, or people watching, that's on the chart that says date proposed funding sources expected to be received fiscal year 24-25.
Correct. So that is page 8 of the actual PDF, and we've updated it for our records as well. And for if anyone would ever have a question, we have an updated version of that.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. But while we're on that, can you describe for us what Cove Park means? And it shows that there's been expenditures, so I'm not familiar with a park that we call Cove Park.
And those are analysis and or design, so it's small potatoes, sir, from a standpoint of, there are 8 parcels up on west of the Cathedral City Senior Center and the parking lot. And so those 8 parcels, there was a concept back in the late teens of potentially having a small little, I'll call it a passive park, like a small dog park, a large dog park, but something that would be, for the neighborhood with respect to that. That kind of just sat there, and that was a concept that happened, but it didn't get much legs. What then did happen was the downtown dog park and the design that went forth over here. So that was pre the downtown dog park that was brought forth and approved. Small potatoes from a dollar standpoint.
Well, it does show there was $184,000 worth of expenditures. But you're saying that was, and I know there's been some design activity and other activity for the
yes,
for the old 2nd Street Park that would be a downtown dog parks pickleball court. Is that where those expenditures went? That $184,000, or where did that go?
Tied to that original.
You spent $184,000 on a empty piece of property in
Whatever the
2025?
original, some of it, I can go back and find out what, because it dates back to, it hasn't happened in the last 4 to 5 years, so we can go back and dig out and share with you what those expenditures were.
Okay, well, yeah, we would appreciate clarity because on the park facilities, Appendix A, under expenditure summary, it says 1716 Cove Park, and for 24-25 expenditures, it says $184,760. Prior years, $211,821. Total to date, $396,581, with a future commitment of $750,000.
That is, so maybe there's something that got boogered up in there, sir, with respect to those numbers that you just recounted are the downtown dog park.
Okay, all right, it's just, yeah, it's that label with Cove Park, and I know that for the purposes of approving this, you're using the terminology that you used, but we may want to
That's fair.
clarify that, so when us or the public looks at these, we can tell, well, what does this
We'll
mean?
do that.
All
But
right.
those numbers that you just recounted, those are tied to the downtown dog
Okay,
park.
good.
when
And
you
that
said-
makes sense, because I know we've spent money moving along the project at the downtown dog park.
Yes.
And I'm saying slash, because now, it's looking at pickleball, multi-use park, I guess you could call it. But I wasn't aware we spent, other than maybe some lawn maintenance money or something on the other
Gotcha.
smart, okay. All right, thank you so much. Any other questions
Thank you.
before we open?
But thank you for clarifying that, because I just assumed, unfortunately, that it was the downtown dog park. And I know in 2020, there were some of my council funds that were allocated towards the downtown dog park for like a planning, just the planning aspect of
Yes.
it. So, okay, thank you.
So that's in addition
it.
to the amount
That's
here,
in
right?
addition.
So,
All right.
thank you. All right, yes, please.
Just specifically with the dog park?
And so just to clarify, that property up by the senior center, those are the 8 parcels that nothing is transpiring currently right now with that. They're actually the land to the west of the parking lot. It's like a little U shape. Yes.
We'll get you that information. Yeah.
So let's not do that now because it's not on the agenda. So.
Yes, we'll do that. But we did do the downtown dog park update last month, and so we'll provide some additional
Yes,
information on
I
it.
think it's just confusing because of the different terminology, and so that's where this line of
Yeah,
questioning is
there's
coming.
been nothing done on that, what we used to call the Cove Park
Okay.
area, so no expenditures.
But
That's all
the
park
chart
dog.
calls it that, so that's where the confusion is. So. All right, thank you so much. There's nothing else from the dais. I will open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone from the public that wishes to make comments.
Mayor Gregory, I did not receive any request to speak forms. I see none.
All right, thank you. Then I will close the public hearing and return the matter back to council for further questions or council action.
I have no further questions, and I move to recommend City Council approve the resolution accepting the annual AB 1600 Development Fee Report for the fiscal year 24-25.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Ross. Please vote. Motion carries, all ayes.
All right, thank you, and thank you for this
Thank you.
report.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, we're going to move into the legislative calendar. The first action on the legislative calendar, item 5A, is procedure for filling the District 3 vacant seat on the City Council, City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We don't have a presentation for this item, but the discussion item is that under California law and the election of council members and the filling of vacant seats are considered municipal affairs under which charter cities can enact local rules. And according to our currently adopted charter, it states that in the event a council seat becomes vacant for whatever reason, prior to the expiration of the term, the council may hold a special election to fill the vacancy, or it may appoint a qualified individual to fill the vacancy. And if the council appoints a qualified individual to fill the vacancy, the appointment shall adhere to the following. If it occurs less than 6 months after the most recent election, the candidate with the election receiving the next highest votes shall be appointed. If there's no next highest candidate, or the next highest candidate declines, or the vacancy goes on for more than 6 months, then the council shall appoint a qualified elector. It does not provide a specific time frame for which the council must take action. However, Section 400 of the Charter indicates that where this charter is silent on the subject, that state law applies. And so for this matter, Government Code Section 36512B requires that the council take action to either call a special election or appoint a qualified individual within 60 days from the seat being vacant. And there's no option to do nothing. The council has to take an action. So the item before you is to consider which of those options the council would like to consider. One would be calling for a special election to fill Councilmember Carnevale's seat, or to appoint an individual to serve the remainder of his term, which will be up for re-election in November 3rd. If the council decided that they wished to hold a special election, again, being that the council is by district, the person applying for this position or seeking to be elected to this position would need to be a voter that currently lives in District 3. The election would be held on June 2nd, which is the same, 2026, which is the date of the state primary, to fulfill the remaining term. The city clerk's office had attempted to get the cost of what a special election would be, but they were unable to get a response directly from the register recorder's office, but estimate that it would probably be approximately $45,000 to operate a special election. The second option that the council has would be to fill the council vacancy by appointment, and provides the council discretion on what process to follow. The only requirement is that the person appointed be a qualified elector, which means that they're a U.S. citizen over the age of 18 and a registered voter in an election precinct in the state. And applying this rule to the local level, that person would need to reside in District 3 and be registered to vote in the same. The council could take nominations from the dais at a regular agendized council meeting and make an appointment, but many cities allow for a more open procedure, typically allowing a short period for qualified electors to submit a statement of interest or an application to the council, followed by a public session during which the council as a whole would publicly interview the candidates and then conclude with deliberation and nomination and then appointment of a single candidate by majority vote of the entire membership of the council. Should the council decide that this is the path you would like to go, staff has proposed a schedule of having interested candidates submit a letter of interest to the city clerk's office. There would be no filing fee for this. By December 29th, 2025 at 5:00 p.m. And then holding a special council meeting on January 7th, 2026 at 2:00 for the council to interview candidates, to deliberate about the candidates.
At 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock? Because this question has come up before.
According to the agenda, we have it right now at 2:00, but certainly the council can decide.
I think I pointed out earlier that the clerk's office put on our calendars a 3 o'clock meeting that day, so.
In the staff report, it's 2:00, but we can make it whatever time the council desires. But at that meeting, it would be for the interview, deliberation, and nomination and appointment of a candidate. And so staff is seeking direction as to which path you would like to go to fill the vacancy. Being that the decision has to be within 60 days since the council member vacated a seat, which was November 16th. We wanted to bring this to council at the earliest available meeting to be able to meet those requirements.
All right, thank you so much. Council members, do you have any questions before public comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So just for clarification, because we are, for now, a council of 4, what if we have a 2-2 vote? Or at that point, do we just talk amongst ourselves and maybe come back with a second?
I'm going to defer to the city attorney to respond to that question.
A 2-2 vote is essentially a deadlock, and that would be no action. The motion would fail because and so you'd have to talk amongst yourself and either continue the item, or you'd have to agree on an alternative motion.
But we would have that option. So
Yes.
let's just say theoretically it was a 2-2. Then we could take a moment in the back room or discuss it and then...
Well, you'd have to do it in public. You wouldn't be able to go in the back room.
You're right.
But yes, you could
We're
have
going to all go in the
it.
back room. Yeah, no, so, and then be able to come forward with a second presentation vote?
Correct. Yeah, you could entertain an alternative motion. You could talk amongst yourselves. You could continue it till your next meeting.
Yeah, I was mostly looking for that opportunity to think about it, if there was a 2-2. I doubt there would be, but if there was, we could have more than one vote.
Would that still be sufficient time for them to make the decision within the 60 days if it was continued to the next meeting?
I took the council member's question to mean just a general question or a motion that might come up on the agenda. If we're talking about a decision on the procedure tonight, then we still have that time left. Okay.
And I was thinking that if it was a 2-2, we'd be able to speak and come back at that same meeting and maybe have a new vote or whatever the policy is to go forward with something like that.
Great. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and I am supportive of having the candidates submit an letter of interest in having a presentation by each individual. That was my experience in 2019 following the death of Mayor Greg Pettis. So that was very effective. As it turns out, we ended up going to a special election following that. But the original format is, it really gives the residents an opportunity to hear about this, know the process, and participate if they want to. And that's the whole purpose of this.
And then what is that time frame from when we announce it? Is that 30 days?
1 second, they become a council member immediately.
No. Once we put it out to the public, we say, how many days can they apply?
So the proposal is December 29th at 5 p.m., and then that would give the clerk a chance to do the verification that they need to do and get the photocopy everything and get it to us for that special meeting.
Yeah, because it's amplified.
All right, any other questions before public comments? And we'll go ahead and open it up to public comments. Do we have public comments on this item?
Mayor, we have quite a few. The first speaker is going to be Colby Gregory.
Welcome.
Hello. It looks different here than on YouTube Live. So,
That's why everyone should come here at least
Better,
once.
we hope, better.
good evening. First and foremost, I wanted to express my condolences on the passing of my council member of District 3, Mark Carnevale. He was a respected and loved member of this community, and his service left a real impact on the families and neighborhoods of the city. My family is grateful for the work that he did, and he will be missed. I also wanted to congratulate Mayor Gregory on your new position, And I appreciate your mayoral contributions as well. Councilmember Ross, thank you. I'm speaking tonight as a lifelong resident of Cathedral City, a small business owner, and a husband and a father raising 3 children here in the city. I've been here since 1990 when I was born. But like many families, I care deeply about the stability and future of our city, our green spaces, our neighborhoods, and our infrastructure and the people. As you discuss how to move forward, I respectfully ask that you consider what I believe would be the most, or would lead to the most continuity and steady representation for the residents of District 3, an appointment rather than the lengthy and costly special election route. Whatever decision you make, whether an appointment or a special election, I support a process that keeps our community's best interest at the center. I am a person who lives in District 3, and if you did decide to do appointment or special election, I'd be throwing my hat in the ring regardless. But this isn't really a platform thing, feels disingenuous. But I just, especially very large shoes to fill on that one. But I've lived here my entire life. I run a small business, an electrical contracting business. I raise my kids here. My kids go to school here. I think I represent a pretty large segment of the district, working people that work hard and share similar struggles and triumphs that I may. But whatever direction you choose, I appreciate the care and responsibility you are bringing to this decision, especially under the unfortunate and trying circumstances. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Next public comment?
The next speaker is Dakota Galindo.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Dakota Galindo. I'm a member of the Agua Caliente Band of Kogi Indians, and I grew up in Mark's district, and I've lived in Cathedral City my entire life, or the majority of my life. I want to begin by honoring the memory of Councilmember Mark Cannavale. Mark was not only a public servant, he was a friend, a mentor, and someone I had the privilege of working for at Nicolino's. He treated people with kindness and respect, and he cared deeply about this city and about District 3. Losing Mark has been difficult for many of us. I feel this loss personally, and I know our community does too. District 3 was Mark's district. It meant a lot to him, and today that district has no representative at the table. Every decision made without District 3 seated leaves thousands of residents without a voice. I believe Mark would have wanted to make sure his district was represented and cared for, not left waiting for months. The staff report explains that a special election could cost the city up to $45,000. That is a significant amount of money for a process that would still leave District 3 without representation for a long time. In my view, that is not the best path forward for our community. I'm asking the council to move forward with an appointment. This option restores representation quickly and supports the people of District 3 and avoids a major unplanned expense for the city. An appointment process can be open, public, and fair, and allows the city to honor both fiscal responsibility and community need. I also want to encourage residents to take part in this discussion. District 3 should not have to go any longer without a voice. Participation matters, and I hope more people will speak up tonight and in the days ahead. Thank you for your time, and thank you for doing your part to serve this city, and thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Next speaker?
Angel Herrera.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Angel Herrera, and I serve on the Parks and Community Events Commission for the city of Cathedral City. I am here tonight both as a commissioner and as a resident who cares deeply about the direction of our city and the well-being of our neighborhoods. I want to begin by honoring the memory of Councilmember Mark Cannavale. Mark was a genuine, bigger-than-life member of our community who did so much for District 3. He was an individual that whenever you ran into him in public, it was a firm handshake and a big hug, and it was always a warm embrace. Mark actually sat me in my seat on the commission that I'm on, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And when I got the news that he was no longer with us, it was something that I didn't even know how to process. Mark is going to be deeply missed. At this moment, District 3 has no representation on this dais. That district is home to families, youth, senior, business owners, and longtime residents who rely on this council to have a voice in decisions that affect their daily lives. It is not in the best interest for the community for District 3 to remain without representation for several more months. The staff report notes that a special election would be costly and could cost up to $45,000. That amount was not planned for or budgeted. A special election would also delay representation for District 3 for a significant period of time. As someone who regularly interacts with residents during programs and events, I hear directly how important it is for people to feel included and represented. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the council move forward with an appointment using a public process where those individuals who would like to apply for this could come up here and speak in front of you, and the community could hear what those individuals have to say. An appointment restores a District 3 voice quickly, avoids unnecessary financial burden to the city, and honors the principles of serving residents where they are right now. District 3 deserves to be heard again. An appointment is the most timely and responsible way to ensure this happens. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to serving our community.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Gary Amy.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. I'm a resident of Cathedral City 40 years. My name is on this building. I was a council member 94 to 98. Answer your question, Carol Engelhardt was elected mayor, had to step up from her council seat. They had to appoint. Myself and Joe Velasquez were in contention. Two of the members wanted Joe, two of the members wanted me. It went on for 3 sessions. The last session, I stepped up and withdrew my name from consideration to avoid a special election and the cost to the city. 2 years later, Gary Ray, council member, passed away. I was appointed to his seat out of public demand. I urge you to not disagree and to not use your personal feelings and to appoint a councilman or a city person in District 3. I know you have a letter from Ms. Herrera, and I think the people should know the amount of time and demand of yours on when you become a council member and mayor, and the cost. At my time, it was $10,000 a month, but it cost me probably $20,000 a month to be a council member and mayor. The wife had to have a dress, shoes, when we went to charity functions, travel, lack of work, all that. So Ms. Herrera knew this and has thrown her name in the ring. I hope you consider her letter as interest in being elected or appointed to the council. I hope you consider that, and they're getting other opinions or other applicants is admirable, but shorten the time, make it quick, because the district is without voice. Right now, one of the council members is missing, one is never coming back, but you're 3, and it could go down 2 to 2. Find a way to find a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Antonio Beishu.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I'm Antonio Beishu. I'm a 18-year resident of Cathedral City. I stand here tonight for you to lean towards appointment. It would not be good for the residents of District 3 to not have a council member for 3 years. I would also advise you not to go back to the well of former council members. You have a unique opportunity to find someone fresh from District 3. Now, I know each one of you personally, and each one of you has said to me at one point or another, yes, we have disagreements, but we all get along and like each other. Please take the time to pick a resident from District 3 that you can all get along with and not someone with a history of toxic behavior. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
The next speaker is Terry Applegate.
Good evening, Council. I too live in District 3, and while we keep Mark in our thoughts, I also am of the opinion that a person should be appointed. I think also, though, it would be good for members of the community to be able to look at the statements and be able to give some input as well on the applicants. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mayor, I did not receive any other requests to speak forms, but I do have one comment for the record.
Please.
This comment was received for the record, provided to the council, and made available at the entrance. Sunshine Herrera expressed her support of an appointment being made to fill District 3 council seat.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other public comments, then we'll go ahead and close public comments and return the matter back to the council.
So I have a question when it talks about the recommendation from staff, and it says interview candidates. So in the process, would we have interview questions that we ask to each of the people, or do they have 3 minutes?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think the answer is going to be it's up to us.
Okay.
I don't know for council if I really feel like we need to do, 5 questions or whatever like we do for commissioners. It almost seems like they should be given an extended period of time, maybe, depending on how many put in, 5 minutes or so, and to tell us about why they want to be a council member, who they are, why they want to be a council member, and what they hope to achieve. So I don't know if that, with the rest of the council, if that's good enough, or would you rather us to go through structured questions with them?
I don't think we need structured questions.
So when I participated in it, you were in council, we each had, I think there were 16 of us that submitted a letter of interest. And so we had our 3 minutes of public time.
And if there's 16, 3 minutes might be more appropriate, yes.
It's an overview of, basically, I had the general direction of what was my background, what do I know about Cathedral City, and what can I contribute, and why do I want to be there. So that kind of just summed it up in 3 minutes. And you got at least from my perspective, I heard a great capsule version of somebody, doing an interview, and of course, I thought mine was the...
Did you feel it was sufficient? Did you feel 3 minutes was sufficient to learn about a candidate?
Councilmember Lamb, can you speak up a little bit in the microphone? Thank you.
Yes.
These mics you need to be a little closer to.
I was actively, doing the 3 minutes, so I don't really know how it was perceived. And Mayor Gregory, you might have a little more input in that. Did it seem like adequate to you to have, 15 people talk for 3 minutes about why they wanted to be a city council person and a little bit about their background, and we got a pretty good, sounded to me like when I sat down, I got a pretty good overview of who was available and what their interests were and what their background was and commitment to Cathedral City, just in a general way. So I don't know.
I think that makes sense, and as was pointed out, we're going to allow public comments too. So besides the person speaking about themselves, other people will be able to come and speak as to, well, whatever they want to speak about, but hopefully speak as to why they think a certain person is a good candidate to consider.
But you're suggesting that the council does not offer questions to the candidates? No, you're not suggesting that, or no?
That's what I'm suggesting, that I don't believe it, for this type of a position, to me, I don't believe it's necessary for us to, to prompt them with questions. It seems to be better, almost like a campaign speech, for them to come and to introduce themselves and have some minutes to tell us what they want to tell us about their qualifications and what they hope to achieve.
And maybe it's a process where if we have a limited number of candidates, if only 5 people are truly interested, then maybe it would make more sense to ask, a body of like 4 questions to highlight the things that I commented on. But in the particular instance that I was in, there were 16 of us. So if we asked questions all night to 16 people.
Well, I don't know legally if there's anything, if we do get a smaller pool of candidates, especially, and as they're speaking, they say things that we feel need to have, we would like to have more clarification or information, if there's would be anything wrong with us asking that candidate. City attorney, is there any specific structure we have to follow for this?
I would suggest that the council agree upon a structure ahead of time, but other than that, there are no rules with regard to whether you have to have a specific list, whether you can ask questions that you just make up from the dais. You really do have a lot of freedom.
But it says here a statement of interest. Is that already prepared? Oh, okay. Well, okay. So
sorry,
maybe
I'm sorry, I can't
to
hear you,
have
Ann.
those. Yeah, I was off mic. So that is part of this discussion of, does the council just want it to be open-ended, provide a statement of interest? Do you want the candidates to hit certain topics so that you're getting, that's up to you to decide.
Yeah, and I think maybe that would be a good thing for us to do tonight, decide on 4 or 5 major questions that we would like answered. Like, what do you know about Cathedral City? What's your background? Why are you interested in this position? What do you have to offer to the council? Just that we give them a focus, and then if we wanted further clarification, we could ask during 3-minute bit.
Well, again, if you think that we need to, again, I don't really think that we need to come up with questions. It's their time. The way that the staff report is worded at the time for that could say that they have 5 minutes to introduce themselves, like we're saying, introduce themselves, talk about their qualifications, and share with the council what they would hope to accomplish if appointed. That could just be in the staff report, and then they could get their time.
That sounds perfect.
And then
we have
it would
had
be
the
up to them,
opportunity
and it would
before.
tell us if they're able to kind of form a
Right.
argument and a thought and that type of thing instead of just answer.
I agree. That's good. Sounds good.
I know in the past, we've had predetermined questions that we asked, and I never
Right.
loved that.
Or committees.
Right.
But that's a little specific.
Just a little bit.
So in other words, to have the questions outlined in their statement of interest, and then just have their 3 minutes here.
Right.
Okay, got it. Sounds good.
Yep.
Right. And 3 minutes is probably good.
Yeah.
And then especially thinking about it, because people will be allowed to also make public comment, so it could be extensive, so.
Sounds good.
All right,
Sounds
so
like a good
are we in
plan.
concurrence? Do we need to put this in the form of a motion? Is it better if we do that so there's clear direction?
It would be better if you had it in the form of
All
a
right,
motion.
so I'm going to make a motion that the council is going to attempt to make an appointment, and we will follow this process. We will accept statements of interest submitted to the city clerk's office by December 29th, 2025 at 5 p.m. The letters can be submitted via email or hand-delivered. And then From that, the clerk will verify the eligibility of those submitted, and they will be invited, as will the public, to attend a special meeting that we will call for January 7th, 2026 at 3 p.m., since some people work. And at that meeting, those persons that have submitted their statement of interest will be able to submit comments about who they are, what their qualifications are, and what they hope to accomplish if appointed to the council seat.
And may I just make a clarification? So you're saying that that would be January 20th, is that correct?
January 7th,
January
2026. We need to make an appointment no later than January 15th by my counting.
Yes.
So if for some reason we are deadlocked and we take several votes and we need to move that to our next meeting, we'll still be within the time period, but no, January 20th will not work.
Yep. Okay, no, it doesn't work for me either, that's why I was asking. So, it's good. No, these are good.
All right, were you able to get that as a motion, clerk? Is it
Yes,
legally
Mayor.
sufficient, Mr. City Attorney? All right, so that's my motion. I don't know if we have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Gregory and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Please vote. Motion carries, all ayes.
All right, thank you, and thank you everyone for your comments. All right, we're going to move on with our legislative calendar. Item 5B is award of contracts for HSIP Cycle 11B, signalized pedestrian crossing upgrades, C08755.
Yep.
And I see we have someone up there, but I like to call the city manager and let her
Thank you, Mayor. So Andrew Lee from our engineering department is going to present this item to you to talk about 2 new hawk crosswalks.
Welcome, Andrew.
They're going to be funded through
Thank
this
you.
project. So
Thank you,
Andrew,
Ms.
please.
City Manager. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, I'll be presenting City staff's recommendation to award contracts for the HSIP Cycle 11B signalized pedestrian crossings projects. Starting off with background, in 2022, City Council approved city staff to submit 4 applications for the HSIP Cycle 11 call for projects, and all 4 projects were selected for funding. For tonight's agenda item, it will be HSIP 11B, the signalized pedestrian crossing upgrades project, and it was a 90-10 grant. In 2024, Caltrans authorized the city to move forward with the preliminary engineering phase, and the City Council awarded an agreement to STC Traffic to complete this phase. In 2025, the P phase was completed and Caltrans authorized the city to move to the construction phase. So to review the project, there will be 2 locations where the signalized pedestrian crossings will be installed. First location is 30th Avenue and Avenida La Paz, right next to Landau Elementary School. And the second location is on Cathedral Canyon Drive and Ortega Road. And the scope of the project includes installation of the high-intensity activated crosswalk, or the HAWK crossings, with flashing beacons, low-emitting diode safety lighting, or LED lights, high-visibility crosswalks, pavement markings, and advanced warning signs. So the proposed improvements are shown on the next 2 slides. Here we have information about the HAWK system and the advanced warning signs. We'll also be installing the LED luminaires and the school zone beacon. A couple pictures of existing HAWK signals here in our city. First location shown on the left is Dinosaur Drive at Linda Way near Cathedral City High School. And the second one on the right is on Cathedral Canyon Drive at Calle Trujillo, just recently installed with the ATP5 project. So tonight's agenda item will consist of 2 parts. The first part is the construction engineering, and we'll review the request for qualifications process and contract award, and part 2 will cover the construction contract. So starting with part 1 for the construction engineering, scope of the work includes construction management, labor compliance monitoring and enforcement, and inspection and materials testing. And just wanted to note that the HSIP grant includes funds for this scope. So the RFQP solicitation, there were 2 attempts at soliciting proposals. The first solicitation ran from September 28th to October 13th, and no proposals were received on the 13th. And so the RFQP was reissued from October 19th to October 29th, and 2 proposals were received. Proposals were received from Specs Engineering out of Ontario and TKE Engineering, with Specs Engineering being ranked as the highest qualified consultant. Going to part 2 for the construction bid solicitation. The invitation to bid was advertised in the Desert Sun from October 19th to October 12th, and the plans and specifications were available from October 19th to November 12th as well. The bid opening was held on November 12th at City Hall, and 5 proposals were received, with Elecnor Belco Electric from Yorba Linda having the lowest responsive bid. This project was programmed in this CIP plan, and the construction budget is within the program CIP funding as shown on this slide. The construction budget includes the construction costs and the 15% contingency, which provides a budget of just over $1 million. And shown on this slide is the fiscal impact, shows the ASIP grant funding providing 90% and the traffic safety funds providing the match. This agenda item aligns with Goal B, community investments, of our 5-year strategic plan. And city staff requests the city council to award a construction contract to Elecnor Belco, award a professional engineering service agreement to Specs Engineering, and approve a 15% contingency, bringing the total construction budget to $1,041,900. Authorize the city manager to execute both contract documents, and authorize the city engineer to request bonds and insurances, and also issue the notice to proceed for the project. That concludes my presentation. I will hand it back to you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions of council before public comments?
I don't have any comment, just a great presentation and great projects, especially Ortega. There you go. Thank you.
And I have nothing, Mayor.
I concur. I do have a little question. So the, talk about Specs Engineering, and I see in the scope of work, they call themselves SEG, or there's a SEG team. Is that another name for them?
Yeah, they're called Specs Engineering Group, so they shortened it as SEG.
I see. That's what that stands for. All right, thanks you. It was obviously the same, but I just was going to ask about that. All right, are there any public comments on this item?
Mayor Gregory, I did not receive any requests to speak forms.
Are there any members of the public that wish to come forward and speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comments and return the matter back for council for further questions or an action.
I'll make a motion to approve a contract award for the HSIP Cycle 11B signalized pedestrian crossing upgrades as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have
I have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Ross. Please vote. And motion carries, all ayes.
All right, the last item on our legislative actions calendar is AB 1600 commitments for fiscal year 25-26. City Manager, do we have a staff report?
Good evening. This item is going to be presented by Kevin Biersack and is going to discuss the opportunity to reimburse other funds from the SKIP funds, from the SKIP program. So this will have a positive impact on some of the other accounts.
So thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, interested constituents. What you have before you, as the City Manager said, is an opportunity to really reallocate some CIP funding to the impact fee funds, the AB 1600 funds, with SKIP participation. I'll talk a little bit about what SKIP is. Questions as we go along or at the end? So the background, we've been to, dating back to we came to the governing body in 2015 to actually join the statewide community infrastructure program, or the SKIP program, which is kind of like a CFD kind of a thing, or an assessment district kind of thing. and that was approved via Resolution 2015-17. So fast forward 9 years later, just this past February of 2024, we amended that resolution and we came forth to you with respect to an updated Resolution 2024-11 that you all approved to not only tie back to the potential for assessment district funding, but it now allowed for community facilities district infrastructure type formation for financing impact fees. So during this most recent fiscal year, there have been 2 projects identified in our city that these developers are going forth to the SCIP program and looking at funding their impact fees through a levy on the tax roll for these projects. Those 2 projects, development projects, are Scena 52 and Nirvana Estates, or if you've also heard of the new name Broadway Cove, over here east of the Jessup dealership. And this financing is done through the California Statewide Communities Development Authority, or the CSCDA, and I refer to that acronym in subsequent slides and in the staff report. So, to give you a little background, when building permits are pulled, the developer pays the impact fees to the city, and they're designated as SCIP eligible. So for example, in a Scena 52, 42 building permits have been pulled to date of that 52 unit project. And so those development impact fees were paid to us here at the city. So the city, likewise, we incur what are affectionately called SCIP qualified infrastructure costs, CIP costs, and we report those back to the CSCDA. And in doing so, then the CSCDA reimburses the developer for that which we've reported to them that are eligible impact fees based on what we reported back. So from the date of the bond funding through the SCIP program through CSCDA, it's 3 years forward. So we as a city are to use those fees, expend those fees 3 years. However, they do have a clause that you can have a look-back window. So in this example of the Scena 52, which has already been funded through the SCIP program, the look-back window was 9 months. And they have a range. They're telling us right now that the range is anywhere from 2 to 18 months backwards. So when you look at that 2 to 18 months plus the 3 years forward, that's our window to spend those fees on eligible improvement projects. So why reallocate? Well, as a result of now that we have a Scena 52 and this next year in the April-May timeframe, Nirvana Estates or Broadway Cove is planned to be funded through a bond through the SCIP program. This will help us preserve non-restricted funds for other priorities, especially since we had that 3-year commitment from a go-forward basis to spend those impact fees. So it's best to use the impact fees first rather than use our Measure A or our traffic safety or our RMRA. It's better to use those funds first in supporting our near-term construction projects and any future projects that are identified. So just to give you a snapshot of what it looks like coming in for these 5 funds that are part of our development impact fee report that was approved by you back in September of 23 that became effective in January of 24. We're looking at the potential for $745,000 of funding for a Scena 52 through impact fees, and through Nirvana Estates Broadway Cove, almost $1.3 million. So when you look at that, the total SCIP availability is $2 million we will be able to use on potential projects. So because of that look-back period and that type of thing, what we have before you tonight is that potential reallocation of projects that you previously approved. So on this next slide, you can see what those projects are. The first 7 are projects that you've previously approved. The last 2 you've already approved using current impact fee funds, but we wanted to share those with you so that you know that we're going to be able to allocate these against the SCIP program. So you can see in this chart that under the original fund versus the AB 1600 fund columns, and this ties back to that reallocation, we will free up opportunities in the general fund Measure A in the CIP fund, the transfer station fund, those first 7 are the funds that we will be able to reallocate monies and transfer those monies with your approval tonight if you agree with the recommendation, and we will be able to charge those to the transportation fund. Separately, as I said, the last 2 are already going against the Park Facilities Fund for the downtown dog park design, and for the Community Center feasibility study, you have already previously approved that to go against the General Government Facilities Fund. But we wanted to give you a picture of the expenses incurred to date, and what we already have out there is encumbrances or purchase orders so that you know what's part of this reallocation. So, back to the 2 opportunities of Ascena 52 and Nirvana. With what we have before you tonight, we've taken into consideration that 3% admin fee. So that's what that column is in the 4th column over. And then the expenses that we've already made, $175,000 to date. We'll still have an opportunity between these 2 projects to spend another $1.8 million on projects using development impact fees, which is good. That's a win because we won't have to use some of those other discretionary funds that we would have to use otherwise. And this will help our Public Works Department in road improvement projects and other kinds of projects. Like, for example, the Community Center feasibility study and what comes thereafter. So with respect to the 5-year strategic, did I skip a slide? No, just want to make sure. So with this 5-year strategic plan, this is in concert with Goal C and our overall financial services objective. As a result of this reallocation, as the staff report says, there is no fiscal impact. So I qualified that in this slide, that there's no overall fiscal impact. But there is a reallocation. So the original funds will receive a credit should you approve this recommendation, and then the impact fee funds will be charged accordingly. So that recommendation is to staff recommends reallocating that $175,000 that you saw on a couple slides previously of expenditures incurred to date, and $383,000 plus of encumbered purchase orders to be aligned with skip-generated fee revenue, so that we will then have those funds freed up and available for other projects.
And Kevin, just as a reminder, there's actually one more $4,000 expenditure that I neglected to include for an additional invoice for the community center study. So the total yet to be encumbered would be $4,000 higher than what is presented.
And we had a contingency on that, so that will just come out of the contingency with respect to that change order. So any questions with respect to the plan here with your approval of this recommendation?
I move to approve.
Questions? No, we're not quite ready for that yet, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Looked at me and that kind of...
See if you have any questions. So, all right, just real quickly, what types of expenses are included in the admin fee?
That's, the admin fee is what we talked about in the previous AB 1600 with respect to that reimbursement of our staff time. So that's that 3% that we automatically capture at the end of every fiscal year.
So it's 3% is what it
yes.
is. It's not specific items or finance fees or anything. It's
tied back to that cost allocation that we tie back to.
Yeah. All right. And then, so it doesn't sound like there's any risk of default on our part because we're actually getting paid up front, right? And they're financing through the authority? Is that what I heard?
The authority holds the funds. As we incur expenses, we will report back on a quarterly or semi-annual basis to the authority to let them know what we've spent, because we're getting the money in the door. The developer is paying us when they pull the building permit. So the money's coming in the door, we're reporting back to the CSCDA.
So they pay us the money and then we pay the CDS?
We don't pay, the money comes into us, period. We just report back to the CSCDA, and the CDA, based on the bond funds that they've done from that bond issuance, they then reimburse the developer. We're just a reporting mechanism back to the CSCDA.
So they reimburse the developer, but somebody pays, and it's the It's then a tax lien on those
It's-
properties? so
It's
they-
a levy on the tax bill for however long the bond is. So like for an example, in our traditional assessment districts and our CFD for infrastructure up in Rio Vista, those have been anywhere from 20 to 25 to 30-year assessments. So this is an opportunity for the developer to pass on the cost to the future homeowner of that, and it is a levy that is there for 20
And
to 30 years.
theoretically, they do that in other circumstances by charging a higher price for, say, a home or something like that, but this way it's in the tax levy instead of
Correct.
through that
So
method.
we get our money up front at building permit issuance. And so we're just reporting back to the CSCDA so that they can reimburse the developer.
All right, I got it. Well, and so, like I said, there's no risk of default because we're not holding a loan or anything. It's the levy is on the property itself.
Yes, sir.
And it's just paying our diff fees in a
The
different way.
important ingredient is that 3-year window. From the bond issuance date, for example, on Ascena 52, that bond issuance date was May of this year, May of 25. So in theory, we have 3 years forward, but we also reported expenditures in that look-back period of 9 months. So we really, on that one, we got 3 years and 9 months to spend that money. But it's incumbent upon us in financial services, in coordination with Public Works or whatever department, based on these 5 different funds, that we ensure that we do spend the money on a project in that 3-year window or 4.5-year window if there is an 18-month look back.
Right, and there are projects that we had approved through the budget process and found them to be priorities.
And these 7 projects, because they were new road improvement projects, not rehab, because rehab, the DVDA, for example, would take exception if we were spending impact fees on rehab. Because they are new road improvement projects, that is legit. A perfect example, Date Palm, north of the 10, from north of the 10 to Varner Road, that's a 2-lane road becomes a 6-lane road. Those are new roads. Those are new lanes.
Right. Theoretically increasing capacity for the future, which is kind of
Yes, sir.
what
So
the whole thought
anything
behind
that's
it was.
new counts with impact fee, not rehab, not improvements, not rehab or slurry or whatever. Rehabs.
Repairs, those kind of things. All right, thank you so much.
You're quite
Anything
welcome.
else from the dais? Then I'll open it up to public comments.
Mayor Gregory, I did not receive any requests to speak forms.
All right, anyone wishing to speak? Well, I'll close public comments, return it back to the dais for further questions or council action. I will move approval of staff recommendation.
I second.
We have a motion by Mayor Gregory and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Please vote. Motion carries, all ayes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is item 6, discussion on any future agenda items. All right, then with that, we don't have a closed session, we already finished, so with that I will adjourn. I will again remind everyone that tonight we scheduled a special meeting on January 7th, 2026 at 3 p.m. for consideration, whatever is posted on the agenda, but the primary is for consideration of an appointment, and our next regular meeting will be a week after that on January 14th, 2026. Don't forget, we have Snowfest this Saturday, starting at 4 p.m., and we also have a celebration of life for Councilmember Mark Carnevale at the Mary Pickford on Monday, the 15th at 2 p.m.
And Mayor, that will also be broadcast live, so there will be an opportunity if residents are not able to come in person, that they will be able to watch that.
That is excellent. I was not aware, but if you are watching us on one of our feeds or later on, that will also be streamed live, so you'll be able to participate in that way. Thank you. And we're adjourned.